All right, welcome in, family. Welcome to another week here at the Elephant Effect. It's your boy Stone.
Lady M.
All right, we're right back with a fresh, brand new series for you guys. And this one's called the Clarity Series. We're speaking clarity. So if you're ready, lock in, get your notes, get your pencil, your pad, and get ready for some educational information. You ready? Let's get it. Like I said, we're back with the Clarity Series. Right back with the episode 1, the moment you see it for what it is, all right? We're clarifying what is clarity. You know, we finally fought all this way. We finally got a clear mind, clear conscience. We finally seeing the way that we need to be living, all right? What is it? What are we seeing? What does it look like? Is it recognizable to us? Is it a stranger? All right, so clarity doesn't whisper. Remember, it hits, all right? And once it does, the illusion dies, all right?
All right, as stated, moving into the clarity series, going into topic number 1. Topic number 1 is clarity doesn't arrive softly, it interrupts you. You don't drift into clarity, it disrupts your comfort, your stories, and your cycles. This definitely ties into everything that we have been harping on up until this point. You suddenly see what you tolerated, avoid, or justify. You feel it in your body. One thing about that clarity is you definitely, is one of those things that once you see it, you can't unsee it. And so clarity doesn't knock, it enters the room and changes the lighting. And so I'm gonna love this series because a lot of times we can be naive or we can avoid, but I love that clarity. It just interrupts all around you, and bringing that clarity is everything. It gives you a new truth, a new understanding, and the truth really shows up convenient. It shows up right on time. And so that's one thing that is going to be revealed in this series, is that nothing happens by happenstance, and that clarity comes when, not always when you're ready to receive it, but sometimes when you need that awakening.
Exactly. As I said, it don't knock. That thing in the room, all right, and changes everything. Like I said, that's what you've been fighting for. So don't be scared of clarity, all right? Embrace it wholeheartedly, but understand that it's gonna come with a little backlash, you know, and you gotta live in it. All right, don't fake the funk with your clarity. All right. All right, I'll bring us right into number 2. All right, your first reaction is usually denial, not gratitude. All right. So most people don't feel empowered when clarity hits. All right, they feel exposed.
Absolutely.
You know, it can be frightening at first. You know, because it's the truth. It's the truth in the light. You know, it's what everybody speaks about. You're finally seeing what you've been putting up with, what you've been dealing with. You know, so now it's starting to really come to focus, and you're like, man, I've been dealing with this, and yeah, it comes and it punches you right in the mouth, and it hurts. It's not fun. It's not fun realizing that, but hey. You realize how long you've been pretending something wasn't working. You know, you've been faking the funk for a long time here. You know, but now you got that clarity to say, man, I have been wasting a lot of time. You know, because remember, denial is a reflex when the truth feels expensive. All right. So yeah, it's that reflex. You know, and that truth. You know, it's expensive. It's expensive in the way of it's exposing our time, our efforts, our mental capacity. It's going to control every aspect of your life. So it's very expensive. All right. It's not something that you can take lightly. It's not something that you can really play with. All right. Because like I said, we've been fighting. All these series have led up to this point where you finally got that clarity. You finally got that cloud off of you. And now you're starting to see and realize, hey, this is where my life is. This is where it was. And now I'm here. All right. So that awareness doesn't feel like wisdom at first. All right. It's going to feel like grief. Okay. It's going to feel like it's heavy on you and it's weighing on you, but you got to battle through it. And like I said, I promise you at the end of it, there's that light at the tunnel. Always, always, always when that clarity is leading. All right.
Absolutely. And as you spoke on about, you know, coming to the realization that you have been pretending that something is working. When you come to that knowing, it is definitely grief, especially you gonna either grieve one or two things: the fact that you're still going through that vicious cycle, or the fact that you have given up the cycle and now you're living in that discomfort. So it's definitely twofold, but you know, as you stated about topic number 2, it comes with gratitude that, okay, now I'm learning and growing, or the gratitude that now I'm aware. And so taking us right into topic number 3, clarity always comes with a choice. What I just was speaking on is always a choice. Do I continue to do the same things, or do I take this moment to pivot and go in another direction? Now that you see it, what are you going to do with it? And that's one thing that you have to really come into knowing. What am I going to do now that I know? What am I going to do with it? Clarity without action becomes self-betrayal. And sometimes this is the one thing that chisel at us the most, because once you know the truth, what do you do with the truth? Growing up, I always heard the saying that the truth shall set you free. And if you have been in bondage and now that clarity has interrupted your life, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to resent the fact that you were not able to move into your purpose? Or are you going to move into your truth so that you don't feel like, okay, not only has people betrayed me, but I've also betrayed myself. Right. And so that clarity is so important. And so every moment of clarity creates a line in the sand. And so, you know, what are you going to do? Are you going to continue to play double dutch, or are you going to just go full force into being and becoming who you are supposed to become? This one ties so perfectly at the back of the Becoming series, because it's definitely something that you need to make sure that your vision is clear and that you are walking in that truth, and walking in that truth is definitely a choice. You're either going to keep performing or you're going to pivot. And we already know that in alignment, it's no longer about the performance or the applause. It's about becoming your true self. And so that's definitely where this clarity comes into play.
And I'll lead us right into number 4. Right, seeing clearly will disrupt what's been keeping you comfortable. You know, so seeing it, like they say, seeing is believing.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the job, the relationships, the image, the grind. You know, once you admit it's not aligned, guess what? You have to confront the cost of that change. All right, it's, like I said, you gotta go full force with it. You gotta meet it full fledged. You gotta meet it head on, as they say, and realize that, hey, this is not gonna be it's not gonna be an easy task for me, because you know it's out of alignment. You know, but like I said, we worked hard. We got here to this clarity point. All right, so the clarity doesn't ruin stability. It doesn't ruin your foundation. All right, it reveals whether it was ever real.
That's it.
All right, so like I said, when you sit back and you realize, hey, okay, I have been wasting this time on these certain things. Was that something that was detrimental to me, or was it something that was helping me grow to whatever, you know, possibility that we're going to? And that's something you're gonna have to really work within yourself. That's why we say getting aligned with yourself and knowing yourself is vitally important, because you can say that something that was hurting you back then, but it might be something that was helping you. You just weren't, you know, fully using that skill right. You know, now you don't want to completely get rid of that skill. No, you want to use it in a way that you now have grown, and your mentality can now harness that power a little bit better than what you were doing. You know, so learn what you can get rid of and what you need to keep to help move forward and make your life a little bit easier when you're chasing that clarity. All right, because you won't just lose convenience. All right, you might lose who you were in that space. All right, we don't want to lose that foundation of who we were, you know, unless it was built on some rocky fronts. But overall, that foundational person that you would love and care and cherish, that's who you need to cater to, and that's how you need to, you know, build upon. So let's not lose that in trying to chase clarity, but let that clarity be the guide to get you back to that focal point.
That's good. Going right into topic number 5. Clarity dismantles your old justifications. Oh my goodness, that is so good, because oftentimes, because we're so comfortable, we'll justify, we'll give every reason but the right reason. But one thing clarity will do is break the shackles, and it'll expose you. One thing that I know about clarity is clarity don't just show up for you. Clarity will make sure it exposes you around individuals who are going to hold you accountable. And people will ask you, oh, what happened with so and so, as it pertains to work, relationships, all those things that you definitely spoke on. But one thing that I will say, in life in general, get you an accountability partner, somebody who you can share, each level of life with, where they can hold you accountable. Well, you said you were going to do this, or even when this clarity come, you're able to speak on it in a way where they can help hold your feet to the fire, so that you can no longer hide behind, I didn't know better. Because oftentimes we play naive and say we didn't know better. But when clarity shows up, is a totally different playground. The reasons that used to keep you stuck don't hold you anymore when clarity has come into your surrounding.
Right.
Your excuses lose power the moment your vision sharpens. And that's why I said from the first topic, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And so you definitely don't want to get stuck in your mind. As we talked about the mind some series ago, you will get stuck in the loop if you don't walk in your power of just being still and understanding that, okay, now that I'm aware, what am I going to do with my awareness? Now that I do know, I can't say that I didn't know, and how am I going to moving forward? You don't get to unknow what you now understand, and that's the beauty of all of this. Once it's clear to you, you can no longer say, okay, I don't know. And so I think we have to do a better job whenever we do come aware of removing that from our vocabulary and holding ourselves responsible for our own alignment, our own growth, and being ready to catapult into the next area of life.
Absolutely. And although you said your excuses lose power the moment that your vision sharpens, that goes right back to that self-discipline. Please don't do yourself a disservice by faking the funk with yourself, because you're going to see right through it, and you're never going to truly be happy if, you continue to lean back on those excuses that you were making, because clarity brought you that clarity for a reason, all right? So let's fight those excuses and let's dead them right here, right now, because that was something that kept you passive and kept you stagnant, and you definitely need to move past those, because we can be stuck in our ways when it comes to those excuses, especially when it comes to eating right, exercising, doing the right thing. We get caught up in those moments. So, let's eliminate those as best we can, just for our mental sake. All right. And I'll lead us right into number 6. It will feel like you're breaking something sacred, but you're not. All right. You're not betraying anyone. You're just finally telling the truth. That's good. All right. You're finally being real. You're finally being transparent. You're finally speaking up for yourself and having that backbone and putting your best foot forward, to say the least. The discomfort of clarity often feels like betrayal of a version of who you settled to be, who you used to be. All right. So let's not get back in that comfort level, that comfort zone that we were. Clarity brought us out of that. All right. That comfort zone no longer exists. You might as well go ahead and try to shut that up, throw it away. All right. That comfort zone is done. We have to make ourselves uncomfortable with this new clarity that we found. All right. Discomfort won't last forever because, like I said, we're building habits and we're building a foundation that now that you made yourself uncomfortable, guess what? Now you're going to feel elevated, and you're going to feel like you're on cloud 9 all the time, because now you put in that work early, and now you're on that elevated plane, and now nobody can knock you off that pivot. Nobody can come in and say something to you and ruin your whole day. No, because you've already set yourself up with positive affirmations, already spoke yourself up highly, and you already set the pedestal way too high to be brought back down to where you used to be. All right. Saying this no longer works doesn't mean that it's all fake. All right. It just means that you've outgrown it. All right. It means that you're no longer settling. And that's like I said, we're no longer in that settlement stage of our life All right, we're on to grander things. We're on to bigger and better things for our life. All right, you're not breaking your life. You're just breaking that illusion. You're breaking that vision that you had of yourself that kept you limited. You're breaking those negative thoughts in your mind. You're breaking all those negative habits that you had for so long that you just couldn't seem to shake. All right, but now you got clarity. Now you're on another level. All right, so those illusions of what you used to be, dead and gone. Now we're on to, higher. We're on a little higher life and higher living standards. Okay.
So that leads us right into topic number 7. There is no going back, and that's a gift. As stated before, and I want to say topic number 4 about it being you having gratitude for it. It's definitely a gift because you're able to shift. And so once the veil lifts, the familiar loses its grip. The things that have once held you captive, held you bound, it's like the blind person seeing for the first time. It's that victory of, oh my goodness, I can't believe I have been operating beneath my means all this time. And so you may fear change, but you can no longer lie to yourself. And that's the biggest thing. The biggest thing in all of this about elevating in life and becoming the true and the best version of yourself is making sure that you're no longer lying to yourself. Which means you won't allow any type of thing in your area, just around you. Your aura is different because you tend to want to pick up what you're putting down, which means everything about you is going to change. And it's that leveling up. People tend to think that this is leveling up is tied to a monetary thing, but I think you genuinely level up when you can truly be true with yourself and realize that I may not be where I want to be, but I'm starting anew today and I'm living my truth, and that means everything. So you don't need more time. You need to honor what you now know, and that's the biggest thing. What you now know, what are you going to do with it? And then you have to think about, the person that I see myself becoming, how bad do I want it? I know oftentimes we always reference, eating habits and working out and things of that sort. But have you seen yourself at your fittest self? And then now that you have the awareness of how to get there, what are you going to do with it? It's not about perfection. It's about progression. How do I get there? And so once you realize that there is no going back to the old me, what am I going to do today? Y'all know my favorite saying, what am I going to do today to make yesterday jealous? Now that I have that awareness, now that it's clear to me, what am I going to do to move forward? How am I going to honor myself before we look for anybody to deposit anything into us? What deposits have I made today that I will be able to cash out on later on? And so clarity doesn't wait. It either moves you forward or it calls you out. And so that's what I'm saying. Clarity has a way of showing up when somebody is around to make sure that you are held accountable, and that I'm pretty sure that person is going to call your feet to the rug. One of the ones that I'm sure everybody can relate to is something as it pertains to a relationship. When you finally, the scales come off of your eyes and it's really not what you thought it was. People tend to hold you accountable. Oh, well, you said you saw him at the grocery store with this chick and you still with him, like, or whatever the case is. If it's vice versa, it's that clarity, right? You now know where you stand and what you have been feeling the entire time. It has been revealed, and what you're gonna do. And even with eating right, whatever you decide to do, whatever becomes clear to you. And that's on every level. It could be work. Something came clear to you at work. One of the biggest things for me is working and receiving less than your worth. Being able to put out and know that you are worth so much more than any 9 to 5 can actually give you. When you have that clarity and that knowing, every day becomes a struggle for you because you understand that I could be doing so much more. I could be gaining so much more. I could be, so much more valuable to my mate, to my children, to my family in general. And so it's just that awareness when what you're familiar with, it loses its grip. You're no longer committed. You're no longer working overtime. You're no longer showing up early. You're no longer tucking in your clothes. Whatever it is, because now I realize that I can do whatever I need to in my own capacity, because now I understand. It's clear to me now. Now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it.
Right. Right. Absolutely. I love what you say, leveling up isn't always monetary. Like I said, please, when you have that clarity and then you go against it, you're just pretty much reversing everything that you worked hard for.
That's it.
All right, you're defeating yourself all over again, and then you're creating some more problems on top of what you already done. So, like I said, like you said, with that level up, it can be something as simple as, I know I need to stop eating after 8 o'clock.
That's it.
I know I need to stop.
I know I do.
And then as soon as you start battling that and you get rid of it, guess what? That's a level up.
That's it.
Everybody doesn't see that as something that, oh, that's a grand gesture. Oh, that's something to be celebrated. But yes, absolutely, that's a celebration. All right, baby steps lead to gigantic steps down the road. All right, so let's not hurt ourselves. Let's not backtrack on things that we've already grown from. All right, embrace the clarity. Embrace it. All right, and I'll bring us right into number 8. All right, the price of seeing is heavy, but the cost of staying blind is higher. All right, so let's not stay blind. Let's not cover up our eyes. Let's not be blind to what we know. Okay, and that goes right back to hurting ourselves. All right, it's costly. It's going to cost you your mental. And it's going to cost you that alignment. All right, because now you know that you're lying to yourself, and what's it going to do? That's going to break your trust. All right, and if you don't trust yourself, you're not going to trust anything or anyone or anything of any kind of ability that you have to make things happen for yourself. All right, so let's not hurt ourselves like that. Trust your instincts and trust that clarity and start moving in alignment with it. All right, clarity will cost you comfort, but confusion will cost you your life.
Yes, it will.
All right, that clutter, that's going to cost you your life. It's going to cause you stress. It's going to cause you to snap. It's going to cause you to not trust yourself. It's going to cause you to ultimately lean back on those old understandings that you've grown from. All right, so let clarity be the guiding force in your life. All right, and let's not fight it too much. You trust yourself now. You've done the work, you've done the homework. All right, so now just ride the wave. Don't go up current, up against it. No, ride with it. All right, go with that. Go with the grain. Go with the flow. All right, you might lose people. You're gonna lose people along the way. That's fine. You might lose some rhythm, and you might lose your role. All right, but hey, ultimately, this is all stuff that's going to be needed to be shedded anyway. All right, God has a plan for you, and that clarity has a plan for you to get you in alignment. And whatever needs to be snipped and tucked and taken off, let it roll off. Because it's not for your greater purpose. All right, and like I said, and that goes right back to a couple seconds ago when I said, trimming away things that we, learning what we need to move forward and not getting rid of everything, but what can we bring with us, that's going to help us along this way, but let's trim everything else, all right? But what you gain from that, all right? You gain integrity, you gain internal peace, and you gain alignment, all right? So once you see it clearly, choose yourself and move with it, all right? Choose yourself. Hey, that's I think we've talked about that in every series. Choosing yourself, all right? Because you're no good if you can't, help yourself. You can't help others if you can't help yourself. You can't learn if you don't learn yourself. You can't help others if you don't help yourself. So trust the instincts, trust that clarity. All right.
That's good. I definitely can share my testimony.
Share it.
Of how these series have helped me, and just in the aspect of choosing myself. I realize that it's so easy to get burnt out on everything because you're putting everything before yourself. And I just think that because women are just creatures and we just have that nature to just try to take care of everything, that I was trying to take care of everything instead of taking care of me. And so I got intentional about being intentional. And it feels good. It feels good to know that out of the 24 hours, I have carved some time out for me. And it's definitely rewarding, and I see the fruits of my labor. So this definitely isn't something that we just talk about, but I'm definitely walking the walk as well. So you don't need to explain why you're changing. You don't need to justify why something no longer fits. You saw it, and that's enough. Clarity isn't cruel, it's correction, it's compassion, it's the invitation to finally live in alignment. We've been talking about this aligned life for some time now. And so we definitely want to make sure that you are not condemning yourself because you had to put away old habits, old things, and definitely old people. Sometimes we can get so accustomed to hanging on to what was that we stay stagnant. But as we mentioned in the previous topic, or I'm sorry, the previous point, that you definitely have to, in order to move, sometimes you do have to leave behind people, because sometimes those people served where you were at that time. And so when you start looking at people, places, and things, when you lose them, so to speak, when you start looking at them as lessons, and things and people as gateways that got me to where I am, and you realize that everything serves a purpose, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, it definitely had a moment in its time. And so yes, it comes with a price, and sometimes that price you don't want to pay because you don't want to leave that comfort. But the truth is, you've been paying for confusion a lot longer. And so I just think about, when we talk about confusion, how long you can stay in confusion because you're trying to figure it out instead of resting, and just allowing that clarity and that alignment to take place. We definitely spoke about rest before, and how sometimes it can be hard to rest, but if you know that this is all aligning for my alignment, it makes all of it worth the wait. So this time, choose clarity and be brave enough to act like you see what you see, and that is seeing past sea level. It is going back to another series where we said allowing yourself time to take yourself out of the situation in order to digest what you actually see. Go through that grieving process so that you can get to your celebration, which is going to lead to elevation. And so I say to you, welcome to the cost of clarity. This is your new season. This is your new vision. And I'm proud of you. I'm proud of us. And I'm ready to walk this thing out.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, we're throwing haymakers at you. Episode 1 of the series. So we definitely got 2 more great episodes coming for you. Hey, you never know, we might extend that thing. If it gets too good, we might have to extend that thing. It's for real. But no, yeah, like I said, this one's attacking me personally as well. You know, because once you know you're doing better and you're doing the right thing, why are you going back?
Right.
There's no reason to. You know what you're doing. You know you can trust it. All right. So yeah, like I said, we've enjoyed this. Hope you guys got some good notes. Took the time to really apply this. You know, these aren't just something you just take in, listen, feed it to yourself, and then just get it gone. No, let it go in and resonate in your soul, all right? And let your soul eat it up. And it feels good in there. It's filling, you know, it'll fill you up spiritually. So we definitely love you guys. Attack the comment section, please, and thank you. Attack it and tell us what you think. Tell us, give us your thoughts, your feedback on the video. Tell us what you're struggling with. Tell us where your little problem itches are, and we can definitely help you out. Like I said, we want to have a Q&A session, Q&A video for you guys. So any final words for the people before we get up out of here, babe?
I really don't. I don't have anything, but this topic for me is it, because one of my favorite things to say is, once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's so true. But one thing you keep talking about is eating it. And when you think about the human body itself, it takes the nutrients and cuts out the waste. And so when it comes to what we are putting out, digest what it is we're giving you. so that you can trim the fat in your life. It's so much fat that is keeping you stagnant, holding you down. It is time for you to process, digest, and flourish. And so I'm definitely ready. I'm excited about our future. I can't even say your future, because we're all evolving together. But you know, your gift, it looks good on you, and I can't wait to see what we're able to birth after this.
The fruits are growing.
There it is.
Well, all right. Well, lock in. We'll see you guys next week with a fresh new episode in the Clarity series. All right. We love you. Have a good rest of your week.
Peace.